Hello, welcome to this live stream. Flying a Spitfire, 150 octane. It's a Mark 9 in Dutch livery. Flying in, I think I'm in Holland. I'm going to fly for the next 45 minutes to 1 hour, picking up my map familiarization tour where I left off previously in the previous video on this subject. I flew in a ME262 to the northeast of this river, the Rhine, so I flew in this region here, and that's more or less in the German region of the map. Haven't got enough time today in this flight to check out all of this area here and all of this area here, so I'm going to confine my search to here and basically fly around here. That's Amsterdam there, so that's where I'm going to head to just now. And I'm going to head there via, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong, via Nijmegen or Nijmegen. G'day Ragor, welcome. Reporting for duty. Cheers. And what town is this? Tilburg. So this is Tilburg. All of the towns, I'm getting the feel for them, they're all fairly, the structure of them is all fairly generic. Mind you, I was in the German sector. Maybe the architecture is going to be slightly different in the Dutch area. Maybe not. We'll see. We're going to be doing a lot of coastal flying in this flight as well, so maybe there's some stuff on the coast that's different to what we've experienced so far. So before we head on towards Amsterdam, we'll go up to the top of the Rhine River, Nijmegen. This is the Spitfire Mark 9. I've got the gyro sight set up here. I've set it to a wingspan of ME109, which is about 35, what would it be, feet? 35 feet, around about 10 metres, 11, 12 metres. And down here, that's in yards, that's 200 yards. So the sight is set at 200 yards. The wingspan of the target's set at about 35 feet, or just on ME109. But I've set the convergence for the guns to really, really close, like 100 meters. I'll show you. That's converging at 100 meters, so very close to the aircraft. And you can hear it, one of the new radio calls there. I've got the volume set at 17%, so hopefully it's not too loud. You can still hear me, but you can hopefully still hear the new radio calls as well. I think they're very compelling. Alright, so there's a bit of enemy flak there. I'll steer clear of that. I know Arnhem and I know Nijmegen from the, not the bridge on the River Kwai. A Bridge Too Far, the movie with, I think it's got Sean Connery in it. And the actual operation from World War II, Operation Market Garden, in this, I guess it was in this region, involved a lot of paratroopers, the Red Devils, landing in gliders. This is a pretty good region, quite picturesque. I'm going to turn left a bit here. Frag, g'day Frag. Why you got to stream when I'm on the train? Watching until my 4G connection craps out. Cheers. Fingers crossed. Artorius, tally ho. Tally ho. Tally ho, old chaps. So here's the exterior of the plane here. This is Dutch, but it's not Dutch like in Holland sort of thing. It's Dutch. I think it's East Indies livery, so in the tropics basically. And it has an interesting mice. There's mice there. I've got the clipped wings. Maybe that'll make me go a little bit faster. I'm only cruising along at continuous power so I don't burn out the engine. This flight's going to be about 45 minutes to 1 hour, not a very long flight, and hopefully I'll get to Amsterdam in that time frame. I don't think it should be a problem. So we're here, we're headed to here, and then we're going to go straight up here. Check out this area here and fly along the coast down here, and depending on time maybe make it back to here. And then the multiplayer Bodenplatte map should be available on Combat Box, and I'm going to jump online and go and fly on that map. So that's my schedule. I've got to say I love this map. It's really a masterpiece. It's a work of art. I just got to warn you, there's absolutely no combat in this particular flight. This is on the single player. This is single player. It's purely a map familiarization, continued from last episode of the map familiarization where I flew in an ME-262 over the German areas. Now I'm flying over the Dutch areas. So we've got a sealed runway, and that's about it. You can see the coast off in the distance there. What is my cruising speed? It looks to be about 280 miles per hour. Not a bad cruising speed. So that huge town off in the distance, I think that's Nijmegen. And then just to the north of it is Arnhem. And yeah, so and there's a bridge there. I wonder if that's, I keep on calling it the bridge over the River Kwai. I wonder if that's, is it the bridge at Arnhem or something like that? Is it a bridge at Arnhem or a bridge at Nijmegen? There's a famous bridge that's nowadays in all the video games, Medal of Honor and everything. And it was in Operation Market Garden. I guess it's either this one here or this one here, or this one, or this one. It's got to be one of those ones that was pretty strategically important. There's one there. That doesn't look like the bridge though. It had some kind of towers at either end of it, going by what I saw in the Sean Connery movie and what I've seen in video games. I've literally been to that bridge in video games. Was it Call of Duty or Medal of Honor or something? Call of Duty. Call of Duty has an episode in the single player mode where you go onto that bridge. So I was flying around this town last night, and it's really good. It's got a few different bridges on it, and you can fly underneath them. So that's pretty good fun. And then there's that other town over there, which I think is Arnhem. That's got to be Arnhem. Chuck a left here. What a picturesque town. One of these bridges could be the bridge in question. Peter, hi Peter, welcome. A wingman, that's a good idea, Ragor. There's got to be a train right here. And that's a pretty significant bridge there. So you can fly under these. The money shot right there, look at that. In Australia, you get a lot of advertisements in the newspaper. Not that anyone reads the newspaper anymore, but they're advertisements for Rhine River cruises, where you go on a flat river boat that's like a floating hotel, or basically a cruise ship that goes on the river. And they always show kind of like a money shot of the boat on the river, on a nice sunny vista like this. And that's exactly what this reminds me of. Good times. Alright, here's Arnhem up here. Well, for formation flying, you can just go left shift A and go into auto level like I'm in right now. It's foolproof for formation flying. Or you can try and do it manually, which I think is probably pretty risky over a long period of time. I can do it easy, but I don't know if my wingman can do it. That's the thing. So here's Arnhem, again, very picturesque town. What a beautiful city. So there's a bridge, that's a pretty substantial bridge. Is that the bridge at Arnhem that Sean Connery was in the movie? I don't know, and there's another bridge up there, it's a train bridge. Excuse me, I got a croaky throat. And I'm about to turn west. There's the train station. So this is Arnhem. Just unbelievably beautiful. Yes, it's a video game, but man, really nice. Alright, let's turn to the channel. Should probably do it. Artorius, they all were because they needed them all. Peter, yeah, most got destroyed. Artorius, I have done the battlefield tour of Arnhem 3 times. Do you mean like in real life? That if that's a real life thing, that sounds totally awesome. I'd love to do that. Frag, well that was a tunnel. Tunnel. Cap Lyric, hello, salute, question the Bodenplatte. Do you mean paying from IL-2 general site, playing on Steam? It's either on Steam or it's on the IL-2 website, or both. I'm not sure which, really. Notorious, yes, real life battlefield study 3 times. Awesome. That's awesome. I'd love to do that. Yeah, it didn't go too well, did it? Operation Market Garden, if that's the operation that relates to that area. I think light resistance to no resistance was expected, and then the paratroopers parachuted in, and I think the fields had, I could be totally wrong, I'm just going by my memory of a book I read. The fields had anti-glider obstacles in them. I should check the map. More or less on track. Turn north a bit. And I think there were tanks in the region that they weren't expecting. I think maybe there was a tank, some quantity of tanks hidden in the region that the aerial recon hadn't picked up. There's a movie made, I think, in the 1960s, so all of the actors have sideburns, about Operation Market Garden. Or maybe that's The Bridge Too Far. I think that's what that is. That's the movie. Getting pretty close to the coast here. Town is that? So go to big town inland: Utrecht, Zeist, Amersfoort, Spakenburg, and then Amsterdam. Might head to Amersfoort and then Spakenburg and go to Amsterdam. Amsterdam should be pretty interesting. I haven't seen this town yet, so first time. The Dutch countryside, just absolutely beautiful. Very idyllic pastoral landscapes. I'm liking the increase to the draw distance that we have now for ground objects, so you can see big cities off in the distance. Like I can see Utrecht off my port wing, even though it's miles away. I can see it there, that dark silhouette. There's Amersfoort. A lot closer. There's a lake behind it. So I believe this is the biggest map so far in this series. And yeah, it is pretty huge. You can get an idea of the scale of it after flying over probably almost half of it now. Yeah, not in this flight obviously, but in this flight and the German flight that I did previously in the 262. Alright, so here's the coast. There's a city or something over there. I think maybe I remember this part here from IL-2 1946. Or maybe not. It's the coast, but it's still... It's the coast, but it's still It's still well and truly inland in this thing over here. Isle-Mere, is it? Isle-Mere? It must exit to the sea up north a bit that I can't see from here. And there's Amsterdam there. And I really dislike the autopilot. I never use it, but often I mistakenly turn it on when I press left shift and A to go auto level, and it just picks up the A, maybe my keyboard's stuffed, and it tries to go into autopilot. And then as soon as you do that, the plane tries to change direction. It pitches up, it turns right or left. The throttle changes, everything changes. It's a real hassle. Anyways, what do we got here? Another town. There's a circular thing there. Fountain or something. Pretty standard town. Let's keep going. We'll be at Amsterdam in a jiffy. So this is a potent aircraft now. This is the Spitfire 9, but now it has 150 octane fuel in the Merlin engine. And that makes all the difference. This is a fast aeroplane, and it can turn like probably nothing turns as good as it even without the fuel, but with the fuel it's got faster straight line speed and just generally better performance, better climb, better everything. How does the Spitfire go in a dive? I can't remember. I can't remember. I haven't really tried it out as a boom and zoomer. I'm too busy turn fighting with this one. So that was Spakenburg, and we're almost at Amsterdam. So we'll go to Amsterdam and then probably down the coast to I think this is the Hague, and then to Rotterdam, and then inland somewhere, maybe to Antwerp. Antwerp, correct me if I'm wrong, Antwerp is in Belgium. That's got to be Amsterdam up there. Pilot Bravo, nosedive into the ground, and I donate $10. Public service announcement: you can do a super chat to donate using a credit card. Allegedly, no one's ever done it before, but apparently it's switched on and it functions. You might end up owing me $10 because I often just crash out through my own incompetence, but we'll see how we go. I don't intend to crash. Gregor says you can only get Bodenplatte from the website, the developer website, but the Steam version will be out early November 2019. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I pre-ordered as soon as it was released, as soon as it was announced. It must have been a year ago now. Artorius, they had traced the 9 and 10 SS Panzer Division using Enigma, but they wanted the operation to go ahead anyway. Mir in German is C. Well, where are we here? And is some lakes in German, I think they're called something or other sea, and so does sea mean lake? I don't know. So, wow, look at that. Wow. Wowee. I've never been to Amsterdam before. I've only seen some pictures here and there, so maybe this is what it looks like. Kind of a Venice kind of a look to it. Very, very well built up, very established. And a lot of water. Wow. This whole city's quite an undertaking. A lot of real estate and a lot of water close together. Gee, I'm gonna have to have a good look at this city. This is amazing. So there's a huge, big, whatever that is. It's like a factory or a port or something. Maybe it's a port facility. This is cool, guys. This is amazing. I'll turn around and you can go back and have a closer look. So here's a port that leads in here. Pretty compact kind of a representation of a city, which is kind of characteristic of this map. But wow. And the Dutch were big time into their sailing ships and that sort of thing, and this is their kind of hub for their world travels throughout history. Even in the ultra olden times, the 1600s, they were sailing around the entire world in sailing ships. No doubt a lot of them leaving from this very port. And you can see why it's sort of sheltered from the open sea, but it's not too far away. You've got a canal or two there that you can get into the city from the sea. It's perfectly positioned. Wow. That is awesome. That's really something. Cool. Hello, Froggy. Hello, folks. G'day, Michael. Great. And I'm going to fly at lower altitude this time once more. It'd be really easy to suffer a G-lock in the Spitfire now that the new G physiology is in place, and considering this plane likes to turn fight like nothing else. I think that the new physiology model is about spot on, in my opinion. A lot of people are saying that it doesn't set in so quickly like that in real life, but I don't think they've ever pulled any G's in real life. And let me remind you that before you suffer G-induced loss of consciousness, which means your mind blacks out, before that happens, something else blacks out, which is your eyes. Your eyes black out. So before you lose consciousness, you lose your vision. So if you start to... I shouldn't really try and simulate it now. The vision is going a little bit black and white. The colour receptors in the eye, the nerves or whatever, they're losing their supply of blood. And so the world goes a little bit black and white, and then it starts to fade out, and that's a grey out, and you can still be fully conscious and be unable to see anything, and that's a grey out. I won't try and do it now because I'll crash. Maybe I should do it and get my $10. But yeah, all right, let's go. What was the next destination? The Hague, I think. What a city! What a city! I think the bridges in Amsterdam in this map are different to bridges that I've seen elsewhere. Not entirely, but there seem to be some oldie worldy kind of bridges that look like they're kind of from a Renaissance era that I haven't seen in the German cities. So maybe there are location specific features. Go down this canal to the sea, turn left and go to the Hague. I'm very impressed by that city. If you go Alkmaar, I'll go outside and wave. You might need a time machine though. This is 1945. And in Holland, every canal or seaside is protected by artificial human-built earth walls that are not depicted in the game. That is fascinating. I guess that's necessary for some reason. Is it to do with the tide, simply the tide, or is it to do with storm activity, or is it to do with just, I don't know. It seems like the water in this part of the world is extremely well managed. It's, what do we got here? Christian says, because it's all beneath sea level, mostly under the level of the sea, says S. Myers, Charles. Wow. That must be a bit nerve-wracking, trying to keep the sea out of your backyard. Now we turn left and we go to the Hague. The only downside really to this plane is it doesn't have many rounds for the cannon. This is the cannon here. How many rounds do you get for the cannon? Not many, I think like 260 rounds or something. They're gone in a jiffy. The good news is that they're very fast and high velocity and heavy hitting. But then if you want to use these same cannons in a better setting, you've got the Hawker Tempest that has 4 of them. So this has 2 cannons and two machine guns, but the Tempest has 4 cannon, the exact same one, 20mm Hispano-Suiza, but it has some insane amount of ammunition, like 600 rounds of cannon or 900 rounds or something. It's crazy. Very potent armament on the Tempest. You can kind of see, to me that looks like the blue water, like the deep water out there, and then there's like a demarcation where you've got the shallow water near the coast. That's what it looks like to me. Pretty awesome. Right, so we've just left Amsterdam back there, somewhere back there. And the Hague is up here somewhere. I think I can see it in the distance there. Took off with full fuel, so no dramas there. This I'll go to Rotterdam, and then more or less I think I'll find a place to land, and that'll conclude the stream. Right, so from what you guys are saying, I gather that a lot of the land has been reclaimed from the sea. Little by little, over time. I guess, yeah, okay. That would be an undertaking for centuries. But I guess the motivation is there. If you're on some marshland that maybe has a foot of water on it, and if you can find a way to dam the water in your small region, you might be able to farm that land and have food and support yourself, and maybe generate some income and build a house or what have you. So probably a pretty high motivation to bit by bit reclaim the land from the water that maybe periodically or maybe permanently, I imagine to be quite shallow, was residing on the land. Pretty cool, pretty awesome effort. Got to respect a big kind of an undertaking like that. Okay, so here is the Hague coming into view. Seems to be in 2 parts. There's like a part closer to the coast. Maybe I'll start with that first. Spitfire with clipped wings has a good rate of roll. The rate of roll is higher than with the full wing. I don't think officially the speed is increased by clipping the wings, but it's the rate of roll that seems to improve. What do you lose? You probably lose a bit of lift. Maybe the ability to climb is less. The war progressed, and as these aircraft became much more powerful, it became apparent that they needed less lift during most regimes of flight, so doing things like clipping wings became increasingly prevalent, simply because the lift wasn't required from the wing full time, and if you did need extra lift, like upon landing or maybe takeoff, you just deploy flaps. So here's the Hague. Again, just bloody brilliant, spectacular. That's a money shot right there. Oh yeah, the hostility says about the Merlin 70 or the 150 octane. I'm not using so there's an option in the options for the Spitfire 9, and I think it's a different kind of Merlin. I think it's the Merlin 70 that you're referencing there. My understanding of it, which is pretty sketchy, is that it's for high altitude, so that's why I'm not using it on this flight, which is like a sightseeing tour. Not a bad view, I guess. I can look down. I can't look left or right though. And why is the Merlin, why is there like a high altitude variation? I think it's to do with, apparently there's gears on the aspiration system, like on whatever they use, a turbo or a supercharger or whatever. Apparently there's gears on it, and apparently they gear them either for low altitude or for high altitude, or maybe they have a couple of gears and you can set the gear depending on what block of altitude that you're at. So if you're at a low block, like maybe 0 to 10,000 feet or something, you keep it on one gear, or you don't even keep it engaged at all because it's not worth it. And if you're above a certain altitude, maybe you engage a super or a turbo or what have you. Bit of a mansion there. Lots of built up areas. Bit of a canal. See the shadow of the Spitfire on the houses down there. The big building there. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is great. So guys, this stream will conclude in about 5 minutes. and there's a name that I'm familiar with in the cheese appreciation community, you might say. Is that the cheese that Gouda's a yellow cheese, isn't it? I like Gouda. I'm a big fan of Gouda. And there's Rotterdam. Where is an airfield? The closest one's down here at Gilzee, or it's at Tilburg. Might have to make an emergency landing at Rotterdam, I think. And that will conclude the stream. So there's no runway at Rotterdam. I'm just going to put her down there anyway. I'll see if I can do an outfield landing with the wheels down in a field somewhere next to Rotterdam. Peter says Gouda is like the most popular cheese. I was going to say, I don't mean to sound disrespectful because I love Gouda cheese. Do they use it on McDonald's hamburgers? And I like McDonald's, by the way. Because there's a yellow cheese slice on McDonald's hamburgers. I reckon it could be a slice of Gouda. Even people that don't like cheese like Gouda. Except if they can't eat milk products. Michael, yeah, the cheese is from there. It's like, like Champagne, the region in France, that's where the champagne is from, and so on and so forth. Edam, yeah, is another famous cheese name. A cheese tour, awesome. We've got quite a few famous cheeses that originate in this region. That's pretty cool. So this is Rotterdam. That is just amazing. They're very action-packed kind of cities with the residential and the canals and the shipping facilities, the ports and the storage and the factories and warehouses and everything. And then flanked by farmland. There's a lot going on. Alright, now the question is, because I'm going to land here somewhere, where to... I'm going to land close-ish to the city. I'm surprised there's no airports out here. Maybe I should land on a street in the city. Any boats? I don't think there's any boats. I could try and land on a dock. I don't think that'd go too well. There seems to be a road that runs through the centre of town. And there's the train line that stops there and there. Maybe it goes underneath. What about that field just there? There's a bridge there, I could land on that. Why don't I try and land on that bridge, eh? The bridge it is, I'm going to land on the bridge. It'd be funny if this actually works. I'm still on the bridge. It's good that I didn't fall straight through it or anything. There we go, guys. That concludes this familiarization of the Dutch region of the map. Guys, I'm going to be back fairly soon, probably in the next 20 minutes for another live stream. This one will be a combat flight on the Bodenplatte map on Combat Box. Hope you can join me for that one. Thanks you guys for joining in the chat. Someone says I want to drive the tank on the bridge. Peter, okay. Alright guys, cheers, thanks very much. Like, share, subscribe, and join the channel. Support on Patreon. Check out my website, it's froggyfrog9000.com, and I'll be back shortly for a multiplayer combat live stream. Bye for now.